The fires of anti-Americanism are burning around the world tonight, all sparked by a film called The Innocence of Muslims, which may not even be a real film. Only a laughably amateurish trailer exists online, created by a convicted fraudster in hiding and described by one man who worked on it as something like a Saturday Night Live sketch directed by the Three Stooges. But even the lamest portrayal of the Prophet Muhammad as a thug and child rapist was enough to enrage crowds on a deadly scale today. The U.S. State Department is dealing with a full-blown crisis tonight, even as they mourn 4 of their own. Some were small pockets of chanting and flag burning. Others exploded into deadly riots. But if we put all the demonstrations on a map, you can see how the anger has spread like a global plague. Over 30 countries saw protests today, and now a total of 6 American posts have come under attack. In Tunisia, 2 protesters were killed by local police as an embassy building burned. 3 more were shot down in Sudan before the angry crowds turned on the German embassy. And in Lebanon, it was American restaurants that felt the crowd's wrath as their colleagues weathered it all overseas. State Department officials greeted the bodies of those killed in Libya. Ambassador Chris Stevens, who fell in love with Middle Eastern culture and the Peace Corps. Sean Smith, father of 2. Tyrone Woods, father of 3. And Glenn Dougherty, a former Navy SEAL and member of a military group devoted to religious tolerance.
4 Americans, 4 patriots. They didn't simply embrace the American ideal, they lived it. That fundamental American belief that we can leave this world a little better than before. That's who they were, and that's who we are. If we want to truly honor their memory, it's who we must always be.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with. It is hard for the American people to make sense of that because it is senseless and it is totally unacceptable.
But for the average man on the Muslim street, it's hard to make sense of a place like America, where anyone can say anything on film. When you grow up under mullahs or dictators, it's hard to comprehend how a message could come out of a country without official approval.
What is it that you want?
A promise from the American government that will not happen the next year or any other year anymore. And all governments, stop disrespecting Muslims. Stop disrespecting our religion. Come on.
Google has agreed to restrict the offensive clip from YouTube in India and Indonesia, Libya and Egypt. But it remains widely available online, and no telling how many of these people even saw it in the first place. Much of this anger may be as much about the history of U.S. foreign policy as it is about one film. But so easily lost in all this camera-ready rage are the millions of moderates.
Would you ever ask a guy out?
If I like him that much, yeah, probably will.
You would?
Yeah, why not? I mean, what difference does it make who asks who first? My parents really shouldn't be watching this.
I met Roya Zanetti a few years ago in Cairo, smart, funny 21-year-old, eager to prove that the modern Muslim woman can respect her culture and think for herself at the same time.
This is your ride.
This is my ride. You're a normal girl. I'm a normal girl. I'd like to, I don't know, flick my hair and...
Back then, she refused to accept that violent radicals were only an Islamic problem.
You get radicals in absolutely everywhere, in absolutely every religion. I mean, come on, don't tell me you don't have like cults or radical thinkers in the States.
And now, on her Facebook page, a condemnation of the violence and a call for peace. I have just one question for those who killed the ambassador in Libya, she writes. The Prophet Muhammad was stoned, exiled, had the intestines of animals thrown on him while at the Kaaba. At what point in his life does he ever retaliate by becoming violent? To love the Prophet means to adopt his character. How about we start with that before we twist and deform Islam into something beyond recognition?